Hey, what's up? Welcome back. This is the final stage of the 2019 Intelligentsia Cup. This is the downtown Chicago Fulton Street criterium. We have a nice hot dog-shaped criterium. And I'm just going to walk you through the last 10 minutes here. That we just went through 6 laps to go. Wanted to talk about how this race went down, what I did to stay in good position up towards the front, and then kind of how it played out in the final couple of laps. You know, nothing too exciting happened the first hour or so of this race. There were a handful of breakaway groups, nothing too threatening. There's never like a major breakaway group that had more than 15 seconds. So I was kind of surfing the front. I did find myself in pretty good position most of this race. I think you're rewarded for being in good position in this race because although it looks pretty simple, there's this little chicane. We're approaching it here in just a second on the backside. There's this little chicane. Let's see. We're coming up to it right now. And just at speed, you can come through it like 2 or 3 riders wide, but really the fastest line is only 1 rider wide. So you're rewarded for being in good position towards the front, and that's where I tried to spend most of my time. Not to mention the road is pretty much crap. Look at back here especially. Look at how many little potholes and little seams and cracks and changes in the pavement there are. And then as you come into the start-finish straight, right up through here, it actually gets a little bit better. And wind was a factor today, so this is a tailwind section on the start-finish. Oh, so I'm yelling at my teammate here to jump on. Super important here in the last couple of laps, or last, whatever we're at, 4 or 5 laps now, to be up in good position, because it's really easy on a course like this to lose ground and get swarmed. Wide roads like this, long straightaways means you build up all this speed, and then you have to kind of slow down, stop pedaling when you're approaching this turn number 1. And what people end up doing is they sprint around you, they swarm you, like right through here. It's not happening this lap, but they swarm you, and then they jam the brakes to safely maneuver this corner. And you'll see that play out here in the final couple of laps. So actually the better line through turns 1 and 2, what we just went through, is on the outside because you're sheltered from the wind. But I did take the shorter line, which is on the inside. I had to eat a little bit of wind, but I did carry a lot of my speed through that corner, which is nice. And now I'm moving up. And I know moving up on a headwind section is usually not a good idea, but you'll probably notice that it wasn't very fast on the front at the time. And overall this race, I mean, we still averaged over 28 miles an hour, so I don't want to call it slow, but just compared to some of the other stages where we were up closer to 30, that makes a big difference. That, 28 to 30 mile an hour average is pretty huge. So you can see there's the chicane again. That's a pretty key feature of this course, and you're going to see on the last lap it is a huge factor. And I did a lot of work to make sure I was in good position coming through that chicane on the last on 1 to go, and then also on 2 to go. But this last stage was a little bit different than the other stages. Some of the bigger teams, they seem to have a little bit less control on the front, and I think that was a result of kind of the overall omnium, because this is a 10-stage omnium. The overall omnium, the top 2 guys, and I think even the top 3 guys, were all very close in points, and they all had big team support around them. And I think what ended up happening is they all just kind of looked at each other. So there was these groups that were getting away that the top 3 omnium guys were fine with letting get a gap, because all they cared about was maintaining the leader's jersey. Second place was trying to overtake first place. So they were just, the top 3 were just looking at each other, which kind of neutralized a huge portion of this race, because like I said, the top 3 had a lot of support, a lot of team support, and that kind of just results in a little bit different dynamic in the racing. Oh, here's me on the outside, like I was saying earlier. That was a better line through this corner. You can pedal through it, and also you're sheltered from the wind. You can just carry a lot more of your speed if you can find a good line. So anyway, like I was saying, just the dynamic was a little bit different in this race, and I think that resulted in it being a little bit easier to navigate the group. There wasn't just a massive team presence on the front just drilling it and locking you in position like I talked about on stage 8, Elmhurst. That was a lot different than this race, just in terms of the dynamic of the race. So it's bunching up a little bit here, slowing down, good chance to move up. I'm moving up a bit. On the left side here before corner 3, there's usually good line to move up, but there's a reason for it, because the pavement is crap. You can see I'm rolling through it right here. It wasn't the worst. You could totally ride through it, but it wasn't the most efficient line, that's for sure. And then you want to be on the inside through this corner. For the same reason you want to be on the outside through the other short leg of the course. It's the sheltered side. And you're usually met with, I was doing 600 watts there, you're usually met with quite a bit of power required to get back up to speed on this headwind section if you're out of position, because there's this there's this rubber band effect where the front riders are going to come through real hot corners 3 and 4 into the start-finish straightaway, and then they're going to carry all their speed into the headwind, and that stretches the field out. And what'll happen is you'll have to do all this big surge in power just to get back up to speed. And then a lot of people carry that speed like you're seeing right now. A lot of people carry that speed and then try to move up on the outside, on the inside, and then turn 1 usually gets jammed up. See, I'm off the power right now. I was off the power for a while. And that's intentional. I don't really want to be like on the front right now. I really want to be, you see the Novo Nordisk sprinter is there. I see those South American sprinters are here. The race leader's right next to me. So this is the position I want to be in. This is the position a lot of people want to be in, is that top 15. I talk about it in a lot of my videos. And this is the position you want to be in. I'm moving up a bit more here. You see there's, I think there's a rider up there before the moto. I think there's like maybe a single rider still off the front. There's an attack going because it's not incredibly fast right now, 25 miles an hour. Even though we're hitting a headwind, that's still really slow for the caliber of this field. And you're going to see what I was talking about earlier, how easy it is to lose position. It takes a lot of work to get into good position, and then doesn't take much. Oh, I'm getting squeezed there. It's so scary through that hairpin into the almost into the barriers there. And that's what can happen when you have a peloton that is really fast and then really slow. It gets bunched up like that. And if there's a pinch point like that chicane or a technical corner or anything like that, that's when it can become really dangerous. You have guys who are slowing down towards the front, and you have guys who are speeding up towards the back, and that difference in speed is when it gets really dangerous. So this is the position I want to maintain, and let's see how I do that. I'm eating some wind here. It is tailwind, so I'm not being completely penalized by it, and I'm kind of getting a half wheel here, but not ideal. A small price to pay to maintain my good position. There goes an attack, and I do remember this one. I remember thinking maybe I'll go with one of these attacks, but also I trust my sprint, and so instead I just lose like 8 wheels there on the right. I probably should have put in a little dig there to prevent that from happening, because now we're 2 laps to go, and it's becoming more and more important to maintain good position. And attacks are flying off the front too. I think there are still, yep, there's still a group of like 2 or 3 off the front. And it's going to become 2. I think one of those riders gets dropped. Yeah, I do see 3 off the front right now. They only have like 5 seconds. And they are going to get dropped. I take the inside line there, eat a little bit of wind, but I just need to maintain my position, even if it's the cost of a little bit of energy. There's 800 watts out of that corner to get back up to speed. Okay, so now people are, I think, a little bit worried about that 4 or 5 second gap to that group of 3, and now the attacks are flying. And you can see it's quite a bit faster now. I was talking about 25 on this section a lap or 2 ago. Now we're up over 30. And that's a lot of energy for the people on front, because this is the headwind section. Coming through the chicane, I don't want to touch brakes. There, pass a rider there. Move up a couple of spots. Set myself up for an inside line into corners, between corners 3 and 4. And you see what riders do is they come in on the right, they swing out to the left before making this corner, and that's to prevent people doing from what I kind of did right there, which is come up the inside. If you stay on the inside until that last moment, you can swing outside and then hit the apex, and that prevents people from coming underneath you. You can see Legion of Los Angeles, they're the masters of that. When they're on the front, that's what they do. Okay, now the attacks are going. We're coming into 1 to go. I see I'm surrounded by the best sprinters in the race. I like my position right now, and I'm doing 600 watts, eating some wind to hold my good position, but it's worth it at this point. It's getting a little bit cagey. You can see people are bouncing off each other a little bit, but I don't want to get swarmed, and you're going to see that same spot. I brought that up earlier. That same spot I got swarmed. I'm losing wheels here. I probably should be accelerating. Instead, I'm losing some ground here, because now bell lap. This is it. We're on the last lap, and there is a group of 2 off the front, and there is 1 in pursuit. So there's still 3 riders who need to be chased, but they're only a handful of seconds off the front. So it's still very catchable in the last lap. And you can see I lost a couple more wheels in that corner. Not ideal. So now I'm up to 1,250, 1,300 watts just to get up to speed, and I need to make passes right now. And you're going to see how sketchy this last lap is. This is what I want to show you guys. So here's so scary. Passing on the right. I don't know why. There was a rider dropping back, and that's when it gets really dangerous. And now I need to be in good position through the chicane. So now I am on full gas here into this chicane, because I want to make sure I have a clean set of wheels through this chicane, and I do. Now I love my position right here. This is the best position I've had all 10 stages. I'm thinking, oh my God, we might be able to catch those 3 guys. One, or even if we don't, I could still get a really good result here, a top 10, maybe even like a top 5 result, and then boom. I get it run into. That all happened real fast. So let's go back and watch that one more time. All right, so you're going to see this Canadian iBike rider make the most terrifying pass on the right. I'm not sure why. He had plenty of space on the left. And I also am trying to make up ground here. Basically, I want to come through that chicane without having to squeeze any brakes, because you just can't come through that chicane like 3 wide. It's a pinch point. You're going to get squeezed out. And I do. I find a really clean line through that chicane. I carry all of my speed. Don't have to touch the brakes at all. In fact, I'm still on the gas. Now I'm like in basically the ideal position. Coming into this really critical turns 3 and 4. And then right about here, this guy who's diving the inside wipes out, runs into the side of me, pushes me into these riders. I fully unclip both legs, barely stay up, and that was it for me. I think he has a front flat. Whether or not he knows that there's really not much you can do when you're coming at that speed and you're trying to corner, you're just going to crash. You have to just squeeze brakes and take yourself out of the race. So thanks for watching, guys, and race season starts next week. I'm super excited. Big things are happening in 2020. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll catch you guys at the next one.
Wow. That's not just 90 minutes of racing. That's 10 days of racing.